All right, a different question. You know, they always talk about using wrong answers as part of the learning process. And so we got to see a really nice example of that. How do you think students reacted to seeing those wrong answers be put up there?
Well, this class loves to point out wrong answers or correct me, and so I think they love that. They loved correcting the teacher and correcting it, and I think it helps them try to explain how one person got this, and let me tell you how it's supposed to go. And so I think it corrects, and then also it correctly teaches. And so, and also I noticed that the kids who when they see the wrong answer, it's like, oh, maybe mine's wrong, and they'll correct it, and then so they'll think, and it confuses them and then it challenges them. So I think
it puts them into that disequilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what maybe specific features of the lesson do you think help to sort of promote student thinking? Did it get lost in the bell? Okay, so what features of the design of the lesson do you think help to promote the student thinking or the types of discussion that went on?
I think that going back and looking at the different solutions, going through, like you said, you went through the students' pages and kind of grouped them to answers, and then going back and looking at those different answers and where those students might have come up with that answer.
Yeah. So this probably isn't evident to you, but one of the key things about picking out the piece of student work is stripping enough of their work away so everybody has to think about it. So a lot of times there were a lot more labels or, things on their work. So when you want to sit down and try this on your own, you need to sort of give them only the bare bones of the answer so it's interesting enough to think about.
And I think too is nobody was pointing fingers like, you got it wrong. Mm-hmm. And and the kids weren't, are they looking at me? Am I the one with the wrong answer? I think they need that chance to see that maybe there are other possibilities. Is this a right possibility or a wrong possibility? And then they were able to discuss that. It wasn't the teacher going, well, you got it wrong because, or this is the right way to do it because. And I think they felt like they were part of the process. And I think that was really good for them. They really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. And it helped to have just a blank sheet of paper in front of them, not the actual ones that they did, because it wasn't like, it was just like, nobody knows what I got, and so they felt comfortable too. And I think it gave them a blank, okay, I'm ready to learn something new, and I'm ready to contribute. And I may not have done this on my paper, but I'm not worried about that. So it gave them a chance to.
So there were some safety nets built into the lesson.
And it also expanded the boys that were thinking mathematically first. When the second chart was shown, the simplified, the CVC, or the CV's chart, not the diagonal, but the next one, they go, oh, and it was like, and then they discussed, oh, that makes it easier, more simplified. And they hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. I know, because the group that I was listening to, as soon as that second one went up there, before she even posed a question, you go, oh, that is so much clearer. So they were making that choice between strategies that you want them to make without, even before you pose that question. So that was nice. I'm out of questions, so anybody have any wrap-up comments that you want to make?
It's not wrap up yet, but just to add to what you said earlier, I think the discussion brought out a lot too.
And I think for the early finishers, or to have a time at the end of the lesson to wrap it up, to pose the question, have you changed your thought process in terms of each of the questions, or did you use different strategies? And just maybe trigger some metacognitive thinking about how they're thinking about their own thinking while they're doing the math problems over again. And maybe just write down, did you change your thought process? Just explicitly ask them instead of, in addition to our interpretation of them changing their thought process. Do they know they're changing their thought process at all?
Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see what they put on with the
Yeah.
red pens. But I'd give them a couple of days rest maybe. They worked really hard today.
They did.
That was great. Any other party comments?
I enjoyed
Yeah.
seeing
Yes,
that.
thank you, Helen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
thank you
enjoyed
so
seeing the
much for
different, the different ways they think. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and it is a luxury to just watch a couple of students instead of worrying about a whole class, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, in addition to that, I think it worked well. One of the questions was, how do you think the lesson worked in terms of just one teacher being up in front? And I think it works out great. I love the think, pair, share, and encouraging questions and feedback in terms of other people's answers. And I think that it's totally feasible with one person, one teacher.
Okay, good. So I want to be invited back when you guys all design your own lesson to try.
We're gonna need your help.
Okay, well, Valerie has my number, so.